Ladies and gentle pirates, and rapscallions too, you are in for the truest of mental treats.
Hello and welcome to session 17 of my Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Lorethrough. We are currently at the Fleetmaster's office in the Brass Citadel of Nekataka. Last session we did a good amount of exploring in the southwestern part of the archipelago, the world map, and then we just turned in a few bounties and stuff when we came back, so that's what we're doing here. Today, I think we haven't done much with the Principi San Patrena, the pirates of the Deadfire archipelago, and I thought it might be a good idea to actually explore them. There are two places we can go that are related to the pirates. One is Fort Deadlight, which is kind of like the main Principi base, I guess, and the other one is Dunnage, which I think I want to go to Dunnage first. A few reasons for that. One, it's more of a side quest, I think, and there's a few things that we can do there, and one of the things that we can do there is continue Pallegina's quest, who is looking for someone who cared for her and made her be okay with her godlike heritage, basically. And the quest itself is called, let me get this right, The Man of Chimes. And this last week, from when I'm recording it, there was kind of a thing it was called like Gamescom, and there was quite a few people who got a chance to play an early build of the upcoming Avowed. And one of the things that you get to do, you got to, like, the people who played it anyway, got to explore this ruin that had to do with looking for an old expedition that had been lost. And you talk with a godlike there. I believe he's an Aethys godlike. And he, at one point in the quest, I don't want to get into too much detail about it, but at one point in the quest, he mentions chimes. So everybody who is a godlike gets this chime. Bjarter, who is not a godlike, actually has one of these chimes. So let's take a look at that now. This is Bareth's Black Bell, and he got this because he went to the In-Between and was brought back to life by Bareth. This small bell of Ymerian steel has no striker, yet it produces a discordant chime when swung. This boon from Bareth holds within it the power over life, death, and undeath. And here, let's see. Friendly AoE, plus 35 health restored, and foe AoE, it interrupts, 52.1 burn damage. Wow, I should be using this more. And you can only use it in combat. So I wanted to explore this because her quest is called the Man of Chimes, so I wonder if we are going to learn a little bit about these chimes. Now, before we go there, I know last session I read about the churches of Aora, and I'm going to continue doing that in future sessions, but in the Principi section of the guidebook, there is a section on Dunnage, which is where I want to go to first, so I figured it would be appropriate to read from this session. So let's get out of looking at Bjarter's face. This is the Dunnage section from the Pillars of Eternity 2 guidebook. Long after Dwarven explorers fled Balefire Beacon in 2742 AI, a contingent of Principi sailors discovered the old stone tower in its unoccupied state. More importantly, they judged the surrounding island of a ripe prospect for settlement. Bringing as many ships and unloading as much cargo as they could squeeze into its modest port, the pirates established the haven of Dunnage. Where the rocky island failed to support any infrastructure, they lashed old ships together and kept them moored to the rickety port, expanding the island as they saw fit. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that when we get to Dunnage. We'll have to look at how maybe they expanded the island basically by adding ships to the outer edges. The Principi always travel prepared for a fight, so the inevitable assault of the island's undead inhabitants found them ready and better equipped than their dwarven predecessors. Though the undead had the element of surprise on their side, the pirates had a medley of weapons and black powder on theirs. The ghouls and vampires who survived their failed onslaught slunk into the shadows and departed. From there it was speculated that they stowed away in merchant ships and left Dunnage behind. sailing to parts unknown. Balefire Beacon, once a promising lighthouse to draw in travelers, became a rallying point for the Principi fleet and the central hub of the Consuelo's seat of authority. Each of the ruling captains had a designated chair in the council chamber, where they adjudicate all manner of conflicts or proposals which could impact the greater fleet. Criminals worthy of execution are taken to the peak of the tower and unceremoniously thrown off, instilling a sense of justice and order amid the otherworldly, otherwise gaudy trappings of Dunnage and its brooding tower. Among the haven's heavily trafficked districts stands the Radiant Court, which boasts a market of goods both mundane and exotic. 3/4 or more of the market's wares are assumed to be the spoils of plunder, making for a rich diversity of items for sale. The volume of coin and valuables flowing through the court attracts other fortune-hunting individuals, acrobats, illusionists, beast tamers, prognosticators, and the pickpockets who travel in their wake like pilot fish, eager to pick away at the rich and distracted. So, Dunnage seems like it is a place that is heavy with pirate activity, but even so, seems like there is some order there. The punishment is very pirate-like. They throw somebody off this big cliff, but it seems like there is a little bit of order there, and it seems like a hub of pirate activity. So that's where we are going to be headed to first today. So let's head on over. First, we'll have to leave Nekataka. I think we might need some food and drink. Keep their morale up, so. Sell some stuff too. Okay, now we'll leave. Maybe if we make it all the way to the ship without getting into a random encounter. Oh, and there we go. You come up on a busy city square. The cool waters of Nekataka's town wells serve poor and rich alike, yet those who gather at them share certain unmistakable features. Tired Aomao visages, yokes borne across labored backs, and tattered Reparo rags. Whether for themselves or their masters, each waits in a long line to claim a bucket full of fresh water. I'm going to speak with the locals. The Reparo, long accustomed to ignoring their superiors, pay little mind, only belatedly realizing that you address them. One of them, an older woman, blinks dark at you. Akira, it is Bjarter. I am always hearing stories of you. That's because I have a good reputation in Nekataka amongst the Huana and the Valian Trading Company. It is said you're a decent person, a younger man chimes in, not like so much of these foreign sort. A child reaches for your hand. With a growing cascade of murmurs, the crowd unravels between you and the now bubbling wellhead. A black liquid spatters out from between the stones of the well, and someone in the crowd screams. Muckman from the Reparo cast steps forward. His boots seem more slosh than leather, but his plunger's so long he'd fit in with any formation of pikemen. He raises a hand to the curdling crowd. Be at ease, Akira. For what do you flee? I am always cleaning these. He blinks at the undulating formlessness of an ooze as an ooze bubbles up from the well. He takes a step back, shaking. I'll say, go. I'll take care of this. The Aomawa drops his plunger and bolts ungainly on shoddy boots. You turn to see a second thick ooze burst out of the well, shredding the well's yolk and scattering the pit stones. Maybe I can cast a spell. What is this? To me, citizens, I'll protect you. Nah. Let's cast a spell to freeze the oozes. Shodi's magic wreathes the beastly mire and snap freezes it. A moment later, the icy totem falls and shatters across the yard. You look to congratulate Shodi, but the crowd screams again. You turn to see small balls of ooze escaping the well and plopping onto the ground. They sluggishly roll side to side, getting whatever bearing an eyeless monster might need. Do that thing again, Akira, Ahwana yells with the whoosh in the ice. There's far too many for one spell to take care of. Draw your weapons and attack. Yep, it's time. Oozes. Oh, forgot that the greater oozes split. Oh no, someone died. I wonder if to me, citizens, I'll protect you would have saved everybody. Oh well. So because of our actions, we have a good reputation in Nekataka. Alright, so next place I wanted to go was to Dunnage. Let's do a quick save, head on over. Oh, I also wanted to... Yeah, see, the stuff that we're feeding them doesn't do anything good for their morale, so let's... Give them some good food, like beer and naan, or tarloaf. This guy didn't attack us. It's just an unaffiliated ship, though. Merlisfin, the truly insane. Okay, Dunnage.
Nothing seems to shake your faith in the Republics, Pallegina.
Some people believe in the gods. Watcher, if you have a moment, I'd like to tell you something.
So, Pallegina just interrupted herself. This is because I have a good reputation with the Valiant Trading Company.
I appreciate that you have been helping me, helping the Republics. I know that you have an important purpose in the Deadfire, and that purpose is not the same as ours. Still, I hope you can see the potential the Republics have to do good here.
There is potential, yes, but the situation is complicated.
Quite. But I trust you will continue to support us in the future.
She smiles and nods faintly to you, but a whisper of suspicion twitches into the corner of her mouth.
Cores.
Cores is a Valiant farewell. Literally a contraction of go with the gods. Okay, so there's no...
Do you ever wonder what they'll become?
Of course. But my place is to protect the Republics, for those who will shape its future.
There's no ships here.
Did you can't be you, I think it is. The peg leg performance yet? It's awful.
The Green Menace? That I did. Made me want to poke out my eyes.
Green Menace. Did you catch the new play? Oh, it's a... who's this person? Detail.
Send me for a buttered slice of hardtack. It's you, ain't it?
The pale elf squints at you and puffs on her pipe. Acrid smoke from a bowl wreathes her face. You have me at a disadvantage, sister.
Wouldn't expect you to recognize me. Even back home, I covered a lot of ground before taking support here. The Watcher, captain of a mighty ship, god chaser and fiend slayer. Must be expensive sustaining a reputation like that, eh?
She rubs her fingers together. So is this somebody that I knew from The White That Wins? That's interesting.
I'll keep it quick, see? If your little dinghy has got some chase in it, I've got a list of captains with a black mark to their name whose ships need a quick scuttling. And I'm in the market for a scuttler.
Okay, no, she's just someone that gives bounties. You're offering me a bounty. Where do I start?
You read me like a book, you do. Then let's talk business, eh?
She cracks her knuckles and grins.
You'll be looking to scuttle Cornu first, one of Rowatai's finest, eh? I don't ask my client what he did or what scale his death balance is. Safer to keep questions in the hold.
I'll pass on that for
Suit
now.
yourself, scuttler. Come back when your pockets have lightened some.
I don't know if I just want to
Indeed.
kill people for no reason. Barkwini. A large Almaua sailor sits on the docks, broad shoulders hunched forward, back bowed. When he shifts, his blue-green skin ripples over his hulking muscles.
Ain't no cruel eye of me. What good's a pirate who can't see? Forget navigating by the stars or shooting a pistol. I can't even swing a sword accurately now. Have a pity and toss me a pyre, will you?
Here you go.
Andra's blessings to you for sharing, sailor.
What's your story?
Is this what my life boils down to? A moment of entertainment for others?
He sighs heavily, big shoulders hunched. Sorry, man.
I was a bosun not so long ago, and a damn good one at that. But I took a shot to the face, see?
He waves one massive hand in front of his sightless eyes.
Didn't lose much skin, but the flash burned out me eyesight. I can't make out so much as a blurry shape more than a foot away. Makes me right useless on a crew now, don't it? No one will have me for work.
Farewell. There's a lot of people in this little area. What's this here? Is this just to leave? No, there's a whole bunch of things here. Okay, so there's a lot of different places here. We have the King's Coffin, which does seem to have a ship. We have Balefire Beacon, which is the lighthouse, and we have the Radiant Court. So there's a bunch of different places that we can go here. I was a little bit worried that this was it. Hello, Woody.
Keep moving. This here is for the crew of the Divine Barge. You ain't a part of it, so you ain't getting inside.
This looks like a Gallowayne godlike, I believe. We have the green eyes, and we have some kind of antlers, horns. They look almost wooden, maybe vines. I am looking for a man named Giacolo.
Have you tried the wild mare in Nekataka? I'm sure they have a boy or two who would let you call him Giacolo for a couple hours.
Père Complanca, let us pass. I know you have Giacolo. I have known him since I was a girl in the Republics.
So, why should I care?
He saved my life. He has saved the lives of many of our kind. Whatever you think he has done, you have the wrong idea about him.
Meh.
A grimace twists her face. She rubs the fur in her right ear, looks to the door, then to you. She's telling the truth.
Fine. I probably won't live to regret this.
She turns to the door while sliding a key from a pouch at her waist. With a quick twist, the door is unlocked and opened.
After you.
She motions to the door.
Nixe, I am Tatzatl, captain of the Divine Barge. What has brought you to this place?
Is this maybe an Andra godlike? This is all godlike, though. Looks like we have an Andra godlike, a Death godlike. Can't really see these two over here that well. Look to Pallegina.
You have abducted the Animancer Giacolo. a valued citizen of the Valian Republics. He enjoys the protection of the Duke's bells and bannets, and through them, the Frere Mas Mesconsualias. As a representative of the Brotherhood, I am here to negotiate his safe release. If Giacolo is not returned to us in good health, everyone involved in his kidnapping will face the wrath of the Five Sons. This, I swear.
I see. We ourselves have been debating what to do with Giacolo for quite some time.
Giacolo stands near the back of the room, nervously assessing you. Though he appears unharmed, he flinches at every movement the pirates make. Tatsada looks to the ceiling, apparently lost in thought. He sighs deeply and closes his eyes for an uncomfortably long time. At last, his head drops, and he nods resolutely.
We are lost in the woods. You will guide us out by traveling the branching paths of Altleja.
What?
A forest is defined by its boundaries. There are a finite number of ways through a forest, just as there are a finite number of ways this can end. I know the ways out of the forest, but you will choose the paths to take.
If you say so. The captain draws forth a small wax tablet and a plain metal stylus. He scratches a few words in the tablet and lightly poises the stylus over the surface before looking to you.
A woman is with a child, and she learns that if the child is born, it will suffer greatly and have a short life. If she ends the child's life before it truly begins, is this good or bad?
Okay, so is there like riddles here or something? A woman with a child, a woman is with child, and she learns that if the child's born, it will suffer greatly and have a short life. If she ends the child's life before it truly begins, is this good or bad?
Saw enough of that during the Legacy. Answer simple enough. When they ended it early, that was bad beyond measure. And when they didn't, same thing.
I wish there was more to this response. I think it's more complicated than that. Let's say that, though.
It is. But I am the Pathmaster, and you are the Traveler. I decide what paths exist, and you decide what paths you take.
Okay. Suffer greatly and have a short life. So then, I don't know how she would know that for sure, but let's say it's a good thing. His only response is to briskly make a small mark on his wax tablet.
You discover a powerful new technology, but you are afraid some people may misuse it for ill purposes. Would you destroy the technology, regulate access to it, or make it available to everyone equally?
Certainly it should not be destroyed. It would only be a matter of time before someone else made the same discovery.
Well, there's always the potential for ill, but we cannot govern people by removing their choices. We must trust that reason and moderation will win out.
He nods and looks to you. I don't know. I have seen in our own world what could happen when there's some new technology that's not regulated. So, see, here's another one. I wish I had more to say, because I think it should be regulated is the right response here, but I would want to know who's regulating it in order to say that. Like, who gets that choice? So I'm just going to say that, though. I think it should be regulated. He nods and makes another small mark on the wax tablet. These responses to these questions, I think, are a little too simple for what they're actually asking. Maybe that's what he's trying to do, but I always feel like there should be more that you can say. Giacolo gulps and coughs, looking nervously at the captain's wax tablet. That's because of my perception.
An enemy of yours is being persecuted. The grounds of the persecution are, by measure of your own compass, unfair. Would you allow the persecution to continue, or would you intervene to stop it?
This one's easier. I would stop it. He looks down at the wax tablet and makes a third small mark.
You learn that someone who does great good for many people is unintentionally going to do great harm to many people.
You learn that someone who does great good for many people is unintentionally going to do great harm to many people.
The harm may not be great, or it may be so great that it dwarfs the good they have done. You have an opportunity to prevent this by killing them. Do you do so?
I would not kill them.
Very well.
He makes a fourth mark on the tablet, then takes it in both hands, counting the tallies.
Your path has led to this conclusion. We will release Giacolo, but his research must be destroyed. And if he resumes this research, we will hunt him down and kill him and everyone else involved.
On what grounds? You haven't even explained what he's done.
Giacolo has discovered a method by which one may detect a godlike fetus in a mother's womb.
Tetzal's words hang in the air. The captain waits for Pallegina's reaction, but she remains silent. She clenches her jaw and nods for Tetzal to continue.
In the Deadfire archipelago, parents consider a godlike child to be a blessing. From Bereth and Helia to Andra and Galawain, all are beloved, save those of Scan.
I wonder what Skeen godlikes are like. I think they're... Now that I think what I'm remembering about Skeen godlikes is that they die early, so that is related to the first question he asked.
Appearing mutilated at birth, many godlike of Scan are killed with the tacit approval of the tribe. Those who aren't killed lead miserable lives.
So yeah, I could have waited a second. Again, these are two simple responses. That's awful versus it's merciful. I almost wish I could just not say anything here instead. Let's say it's merciful.
I understand that argument, but accepting it would require me to accept a world in which we respond to superstition, loathing, and genocide with a shrug.
I don't know if easing suffering through death is the same thing as accepting genocide with a shrug.
I do not. We do not.
Tetzal gestures around the room to his assembled crew.
That is why we captured Giacolo and brought him here, to decide what should be done about him, and his research.
And after all this, you're going to let him go and destroy his research because of how the Watcher answered your stupid riddles?
Yes.
I have to say, that's a poor way to make a life or death decision.
There may be superior ways to debate this subject, but it is the best approach I could conceive.
Feel free to elaborate.
Our group was conflicted, so I posed to you a series of hypothetical questions, absent the specific context of our current problem. While you may have deduced some hint of the context during the questioning, it was a less biased method of reasoning than we were engaged in.
So it seems like a bunch of these questions were different variations, more or less, of the trolley problem. If you see a trolley headed towards 5 people and you can divert it to another track and it'll kill only one person, would you pull the lever? And then there's a bunch of different diversions there that have the same kind of thing. So these are all similar to that, not the exact same thing, but somewhat similar to that. And he was kind of judging what we would say. And I have to say, these questions as hypotheticals were thought-provoking, and they made me think about things. But then all of a sudden, when you see standing in front of you in Giacolo why you were answering those questions, what they actually referred to in this specific situation, that's why I wanted to answer these questions with a little bit more to them than just a few words, because all of them were like relative in a way. It's like, I need to know the specific situation. I can't just make a general statement. But that's kind of what he was doing here. He was just trying to see how we would answer a general situation, even though he had a specific situation in mind. This is a very interesting way of figuring out what he wanted to do with this research. And I have to say, I'm not totally against this research being destroyed. I feel like it would lead to a lot of people. Oh, I don't know. This is tough. Okay, enough pontificating from me.
After all, for us, this is a matter of life and death. Now, if you will excuse us, you may take Mestre Giacolo. We will destroy the research, and heed my caution carefully. Should you resume this study, we will find you, kill you, and kill all who are assisting you.
Pallegina looks to you, angry but conflicted. If Giacolo made this discovery, it's only a matter of time before someone else does.
In all likelihood, yes. But who knows how long that will be? How much these societies may change until then.
Fine, we'll take what we can get. Farewell.
I am disappointed we were unable to save Giacolo's research. But thank you for helping me save the man himself.
Pallegina, is that you, my girl?
Say Pallegina? The old man's face widens into a broad smile as he holds out his arms and awkwardly gambols towards Pallegina. Pallegina kneels down at Giacolo's approach and places her head against his chest, her arms around his thin frame. She closes her eyes and smiles as he holds her.
I thought those pirates would have been the end of me.
Not if I could do something about it. I owe you too much to let something happen to you over some nonsense.
A shadow of concern falls over the old man's face. His forehead grows thick with worried wrinkles, and he gently pulls Pallegina to her feet.
My girl, what that satyr said is not nonsense. He had good reason to be afraid.
He looks to you for confirmation. There is danger, yes. Animancers just need to be responsible.
Sadly, many are not. And as a group, we have no ability to monitor and reprimand those who act irresponsibly.
And you should not be expected to. Who would even be capable of doing such a thing?
Again, not an easy response here. Definitely don't want the rulers to limit the use of it. Animancers should organize themselves. I feel like they've tried to do that before, and the public should decide how animancy should be limited. That sounds like vote, but we've also seen in the first game even what happens when the public decides things is there are generally riots and stuff. I still think that's the best answer, though. The public should decide how animancy should be limited. Pallegina and Giacolo both turn their heads to look at you, eyebrows raised, before slowly looking at each other. It takes only a moment for them to both burst into laughter. That doesn't surprise me. Pallegina, being a company man, as I've said, would probably want the rulers to make the rules.
That is funny, Watcher. Let the public decide.
I'm certain they would come up with intelligent regulations. The public...
The old man laughs so hard he momentarily descends into a coughing fit. Pallegina considers both your words and Giacolo's in turn. She nods her head and turns her attention away. You soon realize she is lost in thought. The moment passes quickly enough.
Well, it appears we are done here. We should see you back to Neketaka, Mestre Giacolo.
Ak, before I go, I want you to have this, Aimoranet. An amulet of my own invention. It resonates with the godlike souls. Even severed, there is enough magic in your chime to activate its power.
He holds up a beautiful amulet on a slender chain. An oblong Adrastone gleams in its center. As he lowers it into Pallegina's hand, he cups his other hand around hers and gently squeezes. It's the Heart Chime Amulet. Okay, so it changes what it does based on what kind of godlike you are. And actually, we, even though the Watcher is not a godlike, because we have Bareth's Chime, I believe, we can wear that, even though we're not a death godlike. So let's go through these. If you are a death godlike or the Watcher, then you get the Nimbus of Death, which is a 5% chance to instantly destroy a kith or beast with less than 100 health on hit. If you are a Magran godlike, Heartfire, 20% chance to convert 20% damage from fire keyword attacks to health. If you are a Moon godlike, which is Andra, that grants Lunar Heart, which grants the wearer increased power level at nighttime. If you are a Nature godlike, which I believe would be Galawain, only take 95% damage when flanked or suffering from body afflictions. And then we have Marine godlike. Did I get that wrong? Is Andra not a lunar godlike? I'll have to look to those godlights. Maybe there. I wonder if Andra has two separate kinds of godlike. It's a 30% chance to convert 20% damage from water keywords to health. Winged Steps, Avian godlike, so that's Pallegina. Plus 15% deflection against disengagement attacks and plus 10% stride. And finally, Decaying Presence and Endings godlike. That would probably be either Skane or Remergon godlikes. 25% chance to reduce enemy beneficial effects by 3 seconds when hit in melee. You acquired this amulet from Giacolo after his abduction by Captain Tatsatl of the Divine Barge. When worn, it produces a soft, harmonious song, almost like the toll of distant bells that quickly fades. Giacolo presumably created the amulet in connection with his research into the nature of godlights, but his ultimate purpose for the item is unknown. Pallegina smiles and nods to him before letting him go. There is sadness in her eyes, but she regains her composure quickly.
I appreciate all you have done. Both of you.
He smiles, nods, and shuffles off toward the docks. Okay, we got a neglected pig here named Chauncey. What Chauncey does. +1 dexterity. So we cannot go back into that room and see what those different godlikes were. Oh well. So pet named Zorro. And Zorro +1 resolve to the party. Lockpicks. Rotten hagfish, no thank you. Carlo Fortuny and Kai Pozek. A trim man in a practical, well-crafted leathers watches you from the corner of his eyes. When he catches you looking his way, his hand drifts casually to the dagger at his hips and lingers for a moment. Then he smiles, the corners of his hazel eyes crinkling with genuine warmth, and waves you over.
Te così, traveler. Care to hear a tale?
He rubs thoughtfully at the stubble along his jaw.
Well?
Tell me about yourself.
I was born to a family of merchants on the Pearl Coast. I was a restless boy, and my feet took me to the Valen Republics when I came of age.
I'm gonna guess that this is one of those skill trainers. As Carlos speaks, his previously strong Valian accent begins to fall away, and his voice takes on the characteristic twang of the Deerwood.
I learned of the power of geography and language at my father's knee, and those skills proved useful in the Republics. I had many successful years as a merchant, and then I made a mistake.
Say nothing?
I joined up with a company based in Girara that traded in beautiful weavings. But they were ill-gotten gains, forcibly produced by a weaver the company kidnapped named Bonisetta. I didn't learn the truth until it was too late. And when our crime was uncovered, I was exiled from the Republics.
So Bonisetta was a slave then? So he didn't know it. I'm just gonna say nothing here.
I would like to make amends to Bonisetta personally, but it seems a distant possibility. Ah, well, I learned my lesson. I won't be played for a fool again.
Why do you speak like a Valian?
It is good to blend in. All the better to observe the business of those around you, yes?
So, my guess, he will be able to train us in bluff. Can you teach me what you learned in the Valian Republics?
Ark, you listened to my tale. I suppose I can do that for you for 3,000 copper?
That will enhance my sleight of hand in diplomacy, so I was wrong. You know what? I'm going to do that.
Well done.
He smiles. He shows you a trick for lifting a man's coin purse from his belt. Between demonstrations, he also gives you tips for negotiating with even the most hard-headed of merchants. You thank him and turn away. Just as you're about to leave, he tosses a coin purse to you with a laugh.
You nearly forgot something.
The coin purse he tossed you is your own. Okay. For some reason I was thinking sleight of hand was like disarming traps and lockpicking, but that's mechanics, I think. Oh, well. I haven't really been picking pockets, but could use that bartering. Find a woman of early middle years, dressed fine, if dirty, dressed in fine, if dirty, armor adorned with bright purple piping. A pair of long scars bisect her brow and jaw. Though she stands at ease, a nervous energy thrums through her.
Fair day, traveler.
She grins broadly, a joyful twinkle lighting her eyes.
Anything I can do for you, just say the word.
Tell me about yourself.
Lady adventurer at your humble service. I was born in a deer and raised in the field, and there's nary a crevice of this archipelago I haven't seen. I split my time between a deer and the living lands, though I've spent much time in the Deadfire of late. And my goodness, if you think the Deadfire's wild, I must say, it's no more thrilling than a Lady of Luxury's afternoon luncheon in comparison to the glorious madness of the living lands. Being a cipher's come in quite handy, I'll tell you that.
Do you often get into trouble then?
Oh, dear me, yes. Can't seem to avoid it. Not a lick of it's my fault, of course. It's the university. Always sending me to the most dangerous corners of Aora, the skimps. If I didn't know better, I might say they were trying to kill me. There's not other way to rid themselves of a tenured professor, after all.
Got any good stories, at least?
Oh, aye. Some you wouldn't right believe. Like the time I lost part of my ear here, see?
She pulls back her hair and shows you a mangled ear. It looks like something's had a good chew on it.
Lost an entire research team along with the ear. Rather a long day, that was. My colleagues have implied I might be cursed, but I can't say I much agree. It's just the nature of the work, you understand. I mean, goodness, if you want a lady to find you the rarest plants, you gotta send her to the most remote places. On my last expedition, my colleague Inez got herself lost looking for what was essentially a big prickly weed. No medicinal use at all. I found her, though, mostly intact even. A blessing from the living lands, I call it, aye. But I do go on, don't I?
She laughs gaily, a hand splayed across her chest. Could you teach me what you learned in your time exploring the living lands?
With pleasure. Teaching is my specialty, after all. I'm gonna pack your brain with so much knowledge, you're gonna have a headache for a week. All I need from you is 3,000 copper.
That's for stealth and metaphysics. Sure.
Excellent. Let's get down to business, shall we?
She starts first with practical training, how you move silently through bush, when and how to burst and hide, how to step so as to muffle the sounds of your feet. Satisfied, she moves on to a high-level explanation of various theories of knowledge. She seems to have quite a passion for epistemology, and goes on for an excruciating long time before at last sending you on your way. Okay. So let's head to some other areas of Dunnage. I feel like there was something else we had to do here, but let's just search around first. We'll go clockwise, starting with the King's Coffin. So this is just a building here. We have the hold, the game room, the officer's perch, and a pleasure cabin. Ooh. It's an inn, maybe? Maneha.
Is that you? What's it been? 5 years?
I think Maneha was a companion in the first game from the White March expansion. That's all she has to say, though, huh? Oh, well.
Kill him, wait an hour, then pull any gold teeth. Easy as pie.
You're an idiot. Wait a minute, wait an hour. Alive, dead, it makes no difference at all.
I've pulled plenty of gold teeth. I know the right way of it.
Maybe I'll pull your teeth just to prove you wrong.
What do you know? It really does make no difference. You, out.
Probably just insecure.
Nobody had any reaction to that except the bartender for kicking him out, and then he just leave the body here.
Life's been good. I keep on my feet and never stay in one place too long. Say what you want about pirates, but these Principi know how to have a good time. Sure, my money's on Rauatai, but I've avoided the Brass Citadel. Not interested in settling in, you know? I'll probably stay a little longer. There's plenty of work for a mercenary after all. Seeing you means something big on the horizon, and time for me to move on.
She knows us well.
Thanks to you, I'm sleeping well. I hope you are too. Take care.
Is that it?
Life's been good.
Yep.
I keep on my feet and never stay in one place too long.
Though slightly frayed around the edges, the sailcloth has been carefully cleaned and maintained. At the bar, you find a tall man with salt gray hair and strikingly bright blue eyes. His face sports a handful of long scars that continue down his neck and disappear beneath the collar of his shirt. He looks up from wiping down the counter when you approach and gives you a broad, disarming smile.
Haven't seen you around before. Welcome to the King's Coffin.
His smile is wide enough to show his bright white teeth, but his light eyes remain cold and flinty.
What can I do for you?
Your tavern looks a lot like an old ship.
Figured that out all on your own, did you?
He winks. So yeah, this is what the guidebook was talking about. There's just kind of a ship that's part of the island, basically, and an inn, apparently.
You're right, though. Inherited an old dhow from my da when he passed. Right piece of shit it was, too. Realised I was bound to make more coin turning her into a tavern than letting her rot in her berth.
Wanted to buy something.
What do you want?
Alright, let's take a look.
So long as you show me some coin.
Mostly just food here. We have a free room for nothing. I have a discount of rooms. I wonder why. Sailor's Berth, plus 10% max health and plus 1 enemies engaged. Plus 3 perception, plus 1 max in power points in the captain's cabin and the officer's quarters, plus 2 might and concentration. We have some adventurers, crew members. We can hire a Vithrock crew member. Can retrain and party management. Okay.
If you're enjoying my performance, tips are welcome but not required. Thank you, loyal patron.
Voice monotone, the wizard examines her nails as she speaks. A wizard, huh? A hand on her hip, she cocks her head as she waits for you to speak. Doesn't look like you're enjoying yourself.
I work for a handful of pyres per day. How could I find enjoyment in that?
How'd you end up among these pirates?
I was playing dice and gambled on a sure thing. It turned out not to be such a sure thing, and now Harker owns my arse until I can pay off the debt.
She grunts.
Of course, I started off owing him 250, and even though I've paid that twice, now I'm in the hole for 700. The interest rate, this uniform, my food and drinks, they all got added onto my tab at the end of the day.
Give her a copper. Here's a tip.
Oh, thank you, patron. I'll be debt-free in no time.
Despite her words, she doesn't actually sound appreciative. In fact, she rolls her eyes as she tucks the coin into her pocket. It's unfortunate. Elias Zelen. You find a lanky blonde elf flipping through a book of Adiran poetry by the artist Silba. His armor is well worn and well capped and bears on its breast the image of a double-headed eagle holding a sword and crown. Looking more closely, you notice that with his free hand that he's picking a padlock.
Hello. May I help you?
He catches you looking and gives a shy smile.
Need anything?
Oh, is this another trainer? Tell me about yourself. Which would be nice, because I do want mechanics training, actually.
I'm not sure what there is to tell. I'm a man of adventure, mostly.
Have you had anything that would make a good story?
A few. More than I could share in a night, to be sure. There is one that's close to my heart. It led me to my love.
Listen.
I was on an expedition into the backwoods of Refuge when I came across an abandoned town. To my great surprise, I found a tremendous hoard of books in the town priest's cottage.
What's surprising about that?
The Refuge are conservative folk, more so even than the Adirans. They don't have much use for reading that doesn't come from one of the holy texts of the Church of Aethys. And what a selection of books it was. Every subject represented, even some questionable ones. I couldn't help but help myself to them. I took as many as I could carry, and I can carry quite a bit. Read them all cover to cover and learned a lot too. I tired soon of wandering, so I settled in a small town in the Deerwood and became a tutor for a noble family. Fell in love with the governess, naturally, and I stayed. For a while.
Listen.
I felt a stirring in my bones one day. I can't explain it. I just woke up, caught sight of the horizon, and had to go. I left my lady wife right there in our marital bed.
He sighs deeply. A look of longing flits across his face, but he stifles it with a quick frown.
I don't know what's waiting for me out here in the Deadfire. But I have hope this will be my biggest adventure yet.
Can you teach me what you've learned in your travels?
Well, you listened to my long tale. I suppose you are owed a trick or two. For the low price of 3,000 copper.
Spent 9,000 copper on training so far here. But I do want mechanics.
Much obliged.
He digs through his pack and pulls out several locks he's found in his travels. He proceeds to put you through the paces, timing how quickly you complete each lock, then demanding that you do it again and faster still. Satisfied you've become a deft hand, he shows you how to build a small explosive with black powder, parchment, and twine. Once you demonstrated you can create the explosive without getting yourself or anyone else blown up, he wishes you good luck and tells you to get going. Okay. How much money do I have left? So about 25 grand. The wall is notched and scarred from countless knife throws that completely missed the target. Pietro? The booth is cozy and quiet, perfect for discreet dealings. Hunched on his hands and knees, quivering and drenched in sweat, the pirate lets out a pain-filled groan.
Lost my God's damn soul and stupidity! Andre, save me now!
What's wrong with you?
My ship was attacked and boarded by pirate hunters. Didn't know if we'd be able to get away, so I swallowed down my most valuable possession, Ngati's black tear, gemstone, about the size of my fist. Of course now it ain't coming out of either end. Been trying all manner of foul concoctions to no effect on account of my stomach being too strong. Years of sailing the storm-racked seas will do that to you.
I wonder why he's doing that here and not in a bathroom somewhere.
Started feeling an intense pain 2 days ago. I think I might be dead. I can't even crawl no more.
What can I do to help?
Make me puke. Whatever you gotta do, just make it happen before this cursed gem kills me. Give me something strong enough to upset even my iron gut. Rosanella's got a stand in the Radiant Court. She's been supplying me with some, experimental concoctions, tweaking them after. Tell her the last one actually came close to working.
Okay. Got a new quest from that. Cabin Boy and Erwena. Oh, looks like we can get dances from them or something.
My, aren't you a handsome one?
An older woman looks you up and down and smiles, revealing several gold teeth.
Did you need help with something, my dear?
No, it's not these guys.
Well, if you insist. Hope that helps.
Wow, there's a lot of money in there.
Keep it down.
The demon?
Touch the courtesans without their permission, and I'll break your legs. Got it?
Huh. Alright, heading to Balefire Beacon. This one's not filled out for us already. Two-eyed Pim.
Much ado to you, Casita.
The captain flourishes a sweeping bow. When he bends forward, a golden swollen drips from his collar to dangle at the end of its chain. He tucks it away as he straightens, but not before you notice the etching on its front side. It marks him as the third chair of the Consuelo Mis Casitas.
A word of advice. Guard your back in Dunnage. You have not yet carved a name for yourself or your crew. Yet you choose to swim in a sea of sharks. Should one take a bite, the Consuelo will not intervene. Elsewise, how might I be of assistance?
Tell me about the Consuelo Mis Casitas.
Yes, our council of captains.
He tips his head toward the semicircle of elaborately ornate chairs aligned at the other side of the room.
There are 7 seats on the Consuelo, each occupied by a high-ranking captain within the Principi. Seat holders convene to vote on a variety of issues concerning the Principi's well-being. To claim a seat, a captain must have substantial backing and sufficient power, both politically and physically. Ferrante, the last Marcheso, holds the highest-ranking seat because the most ships in our entire fleet have pledged loyalty to his flag.
Appropriately, this ruling council seems very much inspired by the Valiant's own ruling council, the Duke's Bells.
As you can guess, the Sea Wolf, Aldis, commands the second most numerous fleet of ships. As such, she is the second chair, and I am the third.
Alright, so the first one is Ferrante, who I think is the one that gave us the quest way back at the start of the game and allowed Seraphine to join us. And the second one is this Aldis woman, who is known as the Sea Wolf.
Perhaps you would like to attend the proceedings when the Consuelo next convenes. You have my ear, Casita. Of what do you wish to discuss today?
Why do you speak like a Valiant? The captain arches a dark brow.
I met Ferrante decades ago. Many years I sailed as his first mate before building my own humble fleet.
With an affected shrug, he sweeps a hand to indicate the room.
When in the Principi, do as the Valians do. Unless, of course, you have no care for tradition or the continued sustainability of our way of life, like some filthy new blood.
This isn't the first time we've heard people talking about the new direction the Principi is taking. Is there someone or some place I should avoid while in Dunnage?
You may have noticed a divide between old blood and the new, by which I mean those who descended from or otherwise hold old Valia in grand esteem, and the varied and often uncouth recruits we have since brought into the fold. I assure you the latter was supremely by necessity, though perhaps I am ill-equipped to throw stones. As a casita of some repute, you will be most welcome in the king's coffin. But you should watch yourself throughout the radiant court.
Farewell. Balefire Tower. This is a picture of true stories from the Living Lands and Copper Leaf. Nothing too special there. There's Captain Ferrante. All these chairs look different. I wonder if they choose their chairs here. Captain Mad Morena is inscribed in the back of the chair. Did I kill her? I don't remember. I don't think I did. Captain Brutal Benwith is inscribed in the back of the chair. Or maybe that was the person. Let me look. Ferrante, the leader of the Principi San Patrena, has revealed the identity and location of a pirate that attacked me at sea, a captain named Benwith, who has taken refuge in the pirate haven of Fort Deadlight. He suggested that I could seek my vengeance in Fort Deadlight and that we have a mutual interest in seeing Benwith fall. So this guy here is the guy who gave us the quest, and this seat belongs to Benwith, the guy who attacked us at the beginning of the game. Captain Aldous, the sea wolf, is inscribed in the back of the chair. Captain Two-Eyed Pim is inscribed in the back of this chair. Captain Goldfin Chiara is inscribed in the back of this chair. And Captain Mer Trevisilo is inscribed in the back of this chair. So, Mad Morena has a, almost looks like a throne or something. This one looks like it's made of seashell, Benwith's. The sea wolf is made of bones. Looks like Ferrante's is gilded in gold. Two-Eyed Pim's is just a plain wooden chair. This one, Goldfin Chiara, seems almost like a hammock or something. And it's kind of tough to see, but this last one, Metro Vesilo, is it's another wooden chair. It's tough to see the front of it, though. Okay, let's talk to Ferrante.
Castol warned me you would come, but he did not indicate how much he'd have briefed you in advance.
The captain straightens the frilled cuffs of his sleeves, ready to get down to business. I don't remember what quest this is. Castol thought you could use the help.
You can assure Castol that I would have handled it in due time. I've simply been tied up with other matters.
A frown tugs at the corners of his mouth, and he strokes a thumb thoughtfully along the curved grip of his flintlock.
However...
And then he smiles, sharply and without any warmth.
If you were to handle this small matter for the both of us, I would see to your reward, personally.
Drop the excuses and give me the details.
As you prefer.
He tugs curtly at the cuffs of his sleeves.
You're to go to Crooksburg and speak with a Master Kua. He runs the island. Hand me your map, and I'll mark Crooksburg's location. I trust that Castall has already pressed upon you the need for discretion regarding this matter. Don't...
He snatches the map from your hand.
Answer that.
Some discretion. After scrolling a black X, he hands the maps back and turns away without another word. So that was a shrewd proposition. That's a new quest. Captain Fronte was hired by Director Castall. Okay, so we updated of like minds. So Captain Fronte was hired by Director Castall to take care of the problem facing Castall's business interests in Crooksburg. When I spoke with Fronte at Dunnage, he offered me the job in exchange for a further reward from the Principi. Sail to the slaver port in Crooksburg. So you have to just speak with the leader of the slavers, Master Kua. I don't like speaking with a slaving leader. And then this one, Director Castall has a conflict among the Principi, Captain Fronte, as a contact among the Principi, Captain Fronte, who's apparently in a position to aid certain Valian trade prospects on the island of Crooksburg. Okay, so the Principi and the Valians are working together on this one. Head up to a Balefire Tower. Gusts of wind rise from below with the smell of the beacon's fires. Bird droppings crust over the iron bands of this cage. This is not stealing. Rum in Diaboso. Rust and blood tinge this iron cage in shades of ochre. Last one, let's head to the Radiant Court. Okay, so here's the Radiant Court. We have sundries, egg-leg performers. This is the people that were putting on that play. The other person was the other two people were talking about and how bad it was. The Treasure Trove. I wonder if that's an inn. Ramasso's Emporium. And the Radiant Court Bar. So Radiant Court also is where we need to go to talk to the woman who could give us a concoction to hopefully help that guy throw up the gem that he swallowed. Maro coral, a rare native coral harvested from the shells of ancient Maoro tide crawlers as they make their long summer march to the mating pools. It is ground into fine powder and used sparingly to flavor select dishes. Sperna, Rosanella, and Calandra.
Fresh fruit, vegetables, dried goods for long voyages. I got it all right here.
What can I stock you up with today?
Let's see what she has for sale. Just some food, fish. Yep.
So you're the captain the old port's been talking about. Aye, you do look like a fearsome sort. Welcome to Dunnage.
She slaps a hand into the bar top with a hearty laugh.
What are you having? I'll pour you a double.
Floating Hangman is a ghastly and rotting ship that haunts the Deadfire, manned by an undead crew. This vessel is rumored to becalm the seas and sails veiled within an unnatural fog. What do you know about the floating hangman? Her eyes go wide, and she fumbles a bottle of spirits, spilling rum all over the counter.
No one survives the floating hangman, or so they say. It's the ship of the dead. You spy it on the horizon, you flee as fast as you can.
I feel like that's the first time we've heard mention of the floating hangman. I could be wrong about that, though. Pietro sent me to you.
I guess the last concoction I made for him didn't do the trick then. Poor bastard. There's one last tincture recipe I know that won't kill him, probably. It's called Andra's Bile, but I don't have all the ingredients in stock. You'll need a rotten hagfish, an unripened palm stone, and a vial of fire kelp extract. Have him mix it all with a half tankard of grog, and well, hope for the best.
Oh man, I should have picked up that rotten hagfish. Why do I need a rotten hagfish, not regular hagfish?
The goal is to make him vomit, remember? A rotting hagfish produces a special oil once it reaches a certain level of decay.
Why didn't you try out Andra's Bile earlier?
I did tell you the list of ingredients, eh? He'll have stuff dribbling out of both ends for a week. Maybe 2 if he's really unlucky.
Where can I find the ingredients?
Check the barrels around Lifter's Refuge for the rotten hagfish. You might be able to find unripened palmstone for sale somewhere in Radiant Court.
She pours a drink, but rather than passing it to a patron, she drowns it herself.
Parker in the King's Coffin usually keeps some fire kelp extract on hand for special purposes. Be careful when dealing with that one.
Alright, let's see what else you got here. There's some drinks. Okay, so I did see the unripened palmstone here, so I'm gonna buy that.
Repeat customer. What can I stock you up with today? Of course I do. But they're no good to eat when they're not ripe. Will make you sick so long as they're purple, aye.
She strokes her chin.
Tell you what though, I'll still sell you what I got. Just don't eat them till they're brown.
It's way down at the bottom, I think. Yep. Okay, so we got the palm stone. I remember where the rotten hagfish is.
Of course.
The artistic quality of the stage's backdrop is best described as enthusiastic. This is Calandra.
That was a disaster of epic proportions if ever I directed one.
Arms flailing wildly before her, the stage performer shoos the other actors from the set.
A typhoon couldn't have cleared out our audience faster.
Who are you guys?
Oh, of course you haven't heard of us. Like I needed more proof that we're talentless hacks.
Her shoulders slump, but then she seems to regain herself. Chin up as she answers you.
We're the Peg-Leg Performers. Formerly the Seabird Serenaders, formerly the Jax Finnegan First Ensemble of Dunnage. But now, well...
She tunnels her fingers through her hair, sighs.
My troupe's coming apart at the seams. We're short on cash, we're low on people, and we've run plumb dry on enthusiasm.
She ticks the points on her fingers.
We haven't drawn a decent crowd in more than a fortnight. And it ain't like pirates are hard to please. That's how you know the show really stinks. But I think I know what the problem is. We've got a lack of flair. If only I could hire more talented performers. I just know my play would take off.
What's your play about?
Only the biggest thing to hit the Deadfire since the Valian Trading Company started hunting us like sea hounds. I'm talking about Aethus storming through the archipelago and capsizing nearly a whole fleet of our ships.
What would you need to improve the play?
A better Aethus, for one. I'm the tallest one in our troupe. I'm still not very convincing, even when I bother to dye my skin blue. Also, our special stage effects aren't all that special anymore. We had someone for that role, but she got herself into debt and has a new job at the King's Coffin.
Sounds like that dancer. I'll help you.
Really? Well, that's great. Then we could...
Abruptly, her eyes narrow, her dark brows furrowing with heavy suspicion.
Wait a tick. Why would you help me? What do you get out of this?
I'd really like to see how the play turns out.
With you helping me acquire the right talent, I'd wager it's going to be phenomenal. I'm in desperate need of 2 more performers. A wizard for one, plus any oaf big enough to pose as Aethus. I happen to know a wizard of the finest skill set who already performs here in Dunnage, Diana at the King's Coffin. But unfortunately, I got no idea of where we might find a suitable Aethys.
I'm guessing we can talk to that blind bosun that we talked to in the first area.
Get me the right people for the parts, and I promise you'll be pleased with your investment. I'll turn us a profit or die trying.
Okay.
My old captain was a drinker from the day born to the day he died. Always he was railed in. He wound up with a wooden leg, 26 ships and a bilious sunrise.
Ingredients in here. Deadeye and Svef too.
Oh, doves, the coming horizon.
Oh, Marcellus.
Sea-sized ruin.
The first thing you notice about the man is the nature of his attire, loud and clashing reds and purples, bright as a peacock. On second glance, you see that he's tall and lanky, boyishly handsome in an unkempt way, with a trim beard and a friendly smile. He hums a little tune to himself as he watches the passerby. It's another trainer?
My good sir, hello.
He gives you a frightfully cheery wave and beckons you closer.
Whatever might I do for you?
Yep. Tell me about yourself.
I'm certain there's no need to tell you, observant as you no doubt are, that I am an actor.
He says the last bit with a flourish and takes an extravagant bow.
Stage, tavern, street corner. They are as much my home as where I lay my head at night. So, I travel Eora, looking for opportunities to share my gifts with the grateful masses, wherever that may lead me.
You make a lot of money doing that.
Oh, goodness, yes, loads of it. I've been known to joke that I'm less a man than I am a walking bank for all the coin that I carry. The common folk do so love an actor. We bring mystery and excitement to their otherwise dreary lives. Yes, you could say we're doing the gods' work.
As he speaks, you notice that the toes of his soft boots are worn thin. A closer inspection reveals that his robes are unraveling at the hems, and are well patched at the elbows, too. You're broke, aren't you?
How dare you? But you're not wrong, to my great chagrin. Times have been tough of late, what with the giant statues smashing up the place, and few in the Deadfire have coin to spare besides. It's quite difficult, you know, living as I do. On occasion, foolish folk will take my act for reality. I've thrice been run out of a town for impersonating a foreign dignitary. Damn fools don't understand the blistering wit of my satire, I tell you. I had to learn to protect myself as a result, though I must admit, what martial skills I've got aren't of use for much more than fighting off wolves, or throttling a thief with designs on my satchel. Thank the gods, I hardly ever need to use them. I can talk myself out of nearly anything, you know.
Sure can talk, I'll give you that.
Well, thank you. I must say it's gratifying to be recognized for one's talents. All things being equal, I'd much rather recite a sonnet than swing an axe, but a man's got to make his way in the world any way he can.
Can you teach me what you've learned in your travels as a performer?
I would be honored. But a man needs to make a living, you know. So, for my services, how about 3,000 copper?
So I can get bluff and streetwise with this? You know what? Let's just do it.
Fantastic! Let's get to it then.
His training is idiosyncratic. He starts by describing a character he'd like you to play, a street tough, an embittered sailor, a noble in the throes of a tantrum. Then he recites the lines to you, asking that you recite them back in the attitude of your character. He then shows you how to use those characters to trick people into giving you what you want. When you show him you've got it, he gives you a wide smile and bids you farewell. Alright, so it's probably all the trainers here. Unless this guy also is a trainer.
Welcome to my emporium. Whatever you need, I sell.
He gestures at the stalls around him.
What would you like to buy today?
You own all these stalls.
I do now. I started out with only one stall and eventually branched out, buying out my competitors one by one.
Show me what you have for sale. Got some unique things here. We have unique pale hide light armor. It's legendary. Is it expensive? Yes, it is. +4 armor rating. It's got a winter coat, +3 shock armor rating, +3 freeze armor rating, and a clad in mist. 15% of incoming hits converted to grace. Many creatures have unwittingly contributed their pelts and bones to this armor. Each component has faded as though treated with lime, eventually becoming the same bone-white color. The cause of this transformation is unknown. Whatever bestial enchantment lies upon the pale hide also affects the demeanor of the wearer. While clad in this grisly totem, one's mind begins to drift towards grand hunt under the moonlit sky, the glorious struggle of tooth and claw, and the undeniable ecstasy of the kill. The Eager Blade, a unique estoc. It's superb. Scoring a critical hit grants +2 accuracy and 5% action speed. And scoring a hit on near-death target also damages nearby enemies. This estoc was once the personal weapon of the legendary Deerwood Knight, Lady Call. As the field marshal of a border barony, she was responsible for defending the vassals of the land from the roving bands of independent hill people, who frequently crossed into the Deerwood to pillage. She was a tireless warrior and a canny commander. She waged a decade-long campaign against all manner of brigands and marauders. When she was killed during a retaliatory strike on an enemy stronghold, her officer Kadra recovered her weapon and sent it to the Duke of the Deerwood, with a letter informing him of the passing of his tireless servant. A fragment of Lady Call's soul purportedly remains within the estoc's pommel, eager to lend aid in the battle once again. The blade almost seems to hum with barely constrained longing to join in righteous combat. And Amra, a unique battle axe. Requires 2 hands to wield, but deals increased damage. 25% chance on scoring a kill with this weapon to frenzy the wielder. Frenzy sends the barbarian into a frenzied state. I wonder if that means that even barbarians can be frenzied. If the wielder's might is 25 or above, critical hits with this weapon cause 25% base weapon damage in an area around the wielder. This double-bladed axe has gone by many names over the years, notably Burden, Ponderous Edge, and the Unbalanced Blade. Most would consider a weapon too heavy to wield a liability, and yet its value is beyond question. The pirates who name it Amra rallied around the weapon as a kind of standard or totem, likely because of the unusual way they came to possess it. After sailing through the maelstrom to evade pursuers, Amra was found lodged in the deck of their ship. They left it there as good luck charm for years, but whatever fortune they gained from its presence evidently didn't last. And that's all the unique things they have there. Pick up a rope and grappling hook and a pry bar. You got a silver fin. If the labels on the bottles are to be believed, these concoctions cure everything from the scurvy to the death itself. I think there's a woman who's supposed to be singing here or something. Jeez.
Don't loot so much. But when should we
You half-masted
A new doggy, Hemp.
90 years old.
Oh, hey, I'm competing with a lot of different people here.
You may sober up.
Hemp gives us +1 constitution. We got salsa, rice.
Before the burning. The morning is a blight. Love some.
Right.
The morrow is a pus-filled boil.
Oh, these are the crates we're doing preparing supplies. Alright, treasure trove. Got some scales. And gunpowder. And we have what I believe is a death godlike here, Demessa.
Welcome to the treasure trove, sailor.
A strapping godlike blinks between the swollen, crusty tumors lining her eyes. Her lips crack, sweeping a sappy substance as she speaks. Weeping a sappy substance as she...
Anything in my trove catches your eye, you let me know.
Let's see what you have for sale. Sun and Moon, a unique flail. Legendary. 10% of graze is converted to hits. It hits twice but with reduced damage. And grants celestial attunement, which is different for the day and the night. +2 to all fire power levels during the day and +2 to all frost power levels in the night. This glowing flail was blessed during a solar eclipse by the Glenfathan apostate priest Elis Marwyn. Elis believed that Aethys and Andra were not two separate identities but rather two aspects of a single god. He considered the eclipse the embrace of the sun and the moon to be the ultimate expression of this fact. Furthermore, he preached against the very existence of any other gods. At the height of the eclipse, the apostate raised the flail to the heavens and blessed it in the name of one unified God. At that moment his eyes burned and he was instantly struck blind. The weapon was indeed imbued with power, but the sacrifice for this blessing was steep. Some of Ellis's followers were convinced that this was proof of the truthfulness of his claims, while others saw it as nothing more than divine punishment for his blasphemies. We have Squid's Grasp, a unique rapier. Grants Squid's escape, which makes us immune to engagement and gives a AoE of Blind and Confused. And Calmo's Curse, minus 50 all defenses against intellect affliction attacks. So Calmo's Lingering Resentment inflicts major defense penalties to nearby allies against... Okay, so that's bad. This unusual rapier was once the signature weapon of a widely feared captain of the Principi, known for pursuing his targets to the ends of the archipelago, and for his ability to evade even the most determined pirate hunters of the Royal Deadfire Company. Azio Calmo was the man of cruel humor and dogged determination. The captain of the red-sailed sloop Serono's Mercy, his own crew feared him as much as his foes, as Azio was as likely to inflict his sadistic punishments on the underperforming underlings as that of his victims of his piracy. He survived 4 separate mutiny attempts, each time reversing the circumstances of an ambush and miraculously coming out on top. Legends spread of the wicked pirate captain, with eyes in the back of his head, phenomenal reflexes, and a rapier the color of ink, made entirely of Yarmaran steel. So that's why he was a sadistic captain, so that's why my allies gain less defenses. We have Refuge's Stained Grasps. Grants Death Denied, immune to Constitution afflictions. Okay. These gauntlets once belonged to Huan, a barbarian known throughout the archipelago as Refuge, dread of invaders. Local legends hold that Refuge appeared only when his force's situation was at its most dire. Refuge often sustained injuries in battle that would have killed any other warrior, and yet she never died. In the heat of one such battle, Refuge charged the field alone against a troop of bleak walkers. For all those who might have fought beside her, sprawled dead on her feet, she slew the paladins one by one until at least she stood before their leader. The paladin leader was faster even than Refuge, and severed her hand with a swipe of his broadsword. But Refuge was clever, and she tripped the paladin leader. As he fell into the mud, she cleaved him from neck to navel. Assured that her enemy was dead, Refuge tore off the other gauntlet and used its glove as a makeshift tourniquet. When the battle was ended and her wound tended to, Refuge left her stained gauntlets behind. It's a bloody story. I also wanted to look at something here. Oh, maybe this wasn't the one. Oh, it was this one, Squid's Grasp. Serono, a valiant variant of Bareth, god of death, cycles, and doors. Okay. Then we have Mirrorback, a unique cape, a 10% chance to reflect against spells and a 5% or a 5 deflect plus 5 deflection against ranged weapons and +2 stealth. Sewn into the hem of this reflective cloak is a brittle, well-worn scroll, squashed flat. Unrolled, it reveals a letter penned in several hands, seemingly passed around among the great thieves of Aora. A gift for you, my friend, made by the gold-plated maniacs of the living lands. May your feet be swift, fingers nimble, and your drinks always on the house. From Antonini of the Biageppe, addressed to an unnamed thief in the Valiant Republics. Here, Twitch, for that thing we talked about. Save me a seat at the bar, an unnamed thief, and a letter to Nifra, a thief of the Deerwood. I feel like we might have run into Nifra at some point in the first game. That name sounds familiar. I can't let a treasure like this fall into House Do-Nothing Well's hands, so it's yours as long as you can keep it. Follow your heart, and don't get dead. Nifra, in a letter to one Langdon, most recently of Defiance Bay. An Opal Tier cameo. Oh, this one summons a siren for us. I want that. Voidward. Plus or minus 25% raw damage taken and +2 corrode armor rating. This ring was created in secret by a rival of the Animancer who forged the great sword Void Wheel. I wonder if we've seen that. This rival intended to steal the weapon upon the Animancer's inevitable death. This ring would serve to protect them from the sword's terrible powers. Do I have that? I wonder if I have that. I didn't read this opal cameo. The weeping figure adorning this jewel gazes out with a look of profound loss. It is a knowing look, one resigned to sadness and grief. The opal is smooth, polished over many years by sand and crashing surf. Iridescent scale. Grants Conjure Greater Blight. Summon a Greater Blight. The Master Alchemist Donato Vinzetti created this suit of gleaming scale armor not as a tool for battle, but as an expression of his craft. Untrained in the arcane art of enchantment, Vinzetti sought to create a perfect elemental defense using only alchemical techniques. He labored over every scale, every stitch, and every rivet, distilling protective elemental essence into every component. The project consumed his very waking hour for nearly a year. The results, while more than satisfactory, never seemed to please the alchemist. His masterpiece was functional but far from perfect. He grew discouraged and eventually discarded the armor, declaring it to be the culmination of his failure of his craft. Okay, so I'm just gonna get the opal cameo and give that to Shody's already got maybe a dare. Yeah, let's give it to a dare. Nope. Where did it go? Oh yeah, that's right, Beata had it. Okay. It's just a guard.
I'll try my best. There you go. Indeed.
The necklace of fire roses in there. Despite appearances, these sacks of luminous Adra contain only brightly colored sand. This gilded armor is ceremonial in nature and no real use in battle.
Just a moment.
So I'll need to use some lockpicks here.
It's no trouble. Of course.
And that's where we can get that iridescent scale for free if we wanted to steal it. Alright, so we got a couple things to do here. So let's first head back to the first part. I forget what it was called. Lifter's Refuge. Here we can grab that rotten hagfish. And talk to the blind guy.
Have a pity and toss me a pyre, will you?
How would you feel about playing the part of Aethys on stage?
What? I'm no actor. And besides, I can't barely see nothing as it is.
Believe me, you're perfect for the role.
You really think so?
He raises his chin up, tilting his face side to side as if examining himself in a non-existent mirror.
Maybe I do have a mug made for the stage. I sure got the voice for it, eh? Turn me in the right direction, and I'll make me way to the Radiant Court.
Okay.
Stage is this way, ain't it?
And then the King's Coffin. Buy the fire kelp extract and talk to the dancer.
What can I do for you?
Got any fire kelp extract for sale?
Sure do. And at a generously discounted price too. 250 pies.
I'll take a vial.
Be careful you don't get any of it in your eyes. Burns like a mother. Oh, burns like you wouldn't believe. Wouldn't wish that sting on anybody. Not even my worst enemy. Actually, yeah. Yeah, I would.
He chuckles deeply to himself as he hands you the vial of fire kelp extract. Dried and ground up fire kelp extract, just unstopping the bottle causes your eyes to water. Okay, so now we can make the Bring the ingredients for Andra's bile to Pietro at the king's coffin in Dunnage and then stand way, way back. Okay. I guess we don't have to make it, we just have to give him the stuff.
Damn my god! Just kill me now!
Skin pasty, upper lip beaded with sweat, the sailor sways and moans.
Lost my God's damn soul in stupidity! Andra, save me now!
Rosanella says this should work. Give him the ingredients for Andra's bile. Hands trembling, Pietro hastily mixes the contents of a wooden mug half filled with water. With a final nervous swallow, he lifts the mug to his lips and downs the concoction. After several moments, nothing happens, and he shakes his head, expression grim.
Oh!
But then goes white as a sheet. His throat mottles red and his mouth pops open in a little O of surprise.
Oh, God! He's coming out the other end now!
Iron Gut scoops up vomited gemstone, which looks like a black pearl the size of a small rock. He gives it a quick wipe down before thrusting it into your hands. So we got the black pearl, which is a symbol of Andra. Black pearls are prized by sailors across Eora as the natives of the Deadfire. To the ancient Huana, it was believed that a warrior with one in their possession would feel no fear. Rawatayan midwives use it to ward off the pains of childbirth. Sailors believe that clutching such a stone ensures that Andra will hear their prayers, even if she chooses not to intercede. Well, it's a pearl, so at least it was smooth coming out.
Oh, now, if you'll excuse me, I need a change of bottoms.
Waiting back a curse, he hurries off. Is that it? No, task completed. Okay, very nice.
Welcome back, patron. I so hope you enjoy the performance.
Face bland with a bored expression, the wizard sighs heavily after speaking. A hand on her hip, she cocks her head as she waits for you to speak. Calandra needs you for her play.
I'd be happy to go back working for her, except I owe Harker over there a good deal of money.
She jerks her head toward the far end of the bar.
Stupid dice went cold at the wrong time. Until I pay him what I owe, 700 pyres, I'm not going anywhere.
See what I can do.
Sure, it's worth a try, I guess. You must really want to see Calandra's play. Well, I won't stop you from helping me out.
700 copper is not that much, but let's see if there's a more interesting way to do this quest. What can you tell me about Harker?
You haven't heard the rumours, I take it?
Her voice drops to a raspy whisper.
Some people say he's the Red King.
The who now?
Come on now, you're pulling my leg. The Red King was a pirate with a grudge against the Valian Republics, supposed to have died years ago.
Her eyes gleam with excitement as she tells the tale.
But some folks say he faked his death to escape the wrath of the Valian Republics.
The elf leans closer, conspiratorially, to murmur near your ear.
Those same folks say that Harker was the Red King.
Licking the corner of her mouth, she straightens. She smooths her hair with trembling fingers.
I wouldn't go on asking him about it, if you know what I mean. Harker's got a nasty reputation, a real violent disposition, and besides, people in this port generally don't like others prying into their past.
Very well. Okay.
What can I do for you?
Uh-oh. Let's see. I've heard rumors you're the Red King, the infamous pirate.
Infamous to his enemies, famous to his friends.
He narrows his eyes and sizes you up before saying more.
Folks decided to call me the Red King, and I had nothing to do with that. But I didn't tell them to stop neither.
He grins.
See, the Valian Republics drove my da out of business, and I repaid them in kind by taking their ships and their treasure. A whole lot of it.
Sure, Pallegina's gonna be happy about that.
Got right tired of ship hunters crawling up my arse every time I went out to sea, though. So I paid off my crew, scuttled this ship here, and went my merry way. In other words, the Red King is dead. And if you ask me any more about it, you will be too.
So there's nothing else we can do with that. Farewell.
Welcome back, patron.
I wonder if there's like something we can do by like turning him into the Valiant Republics, but I don't want to do that, so I'm just gonna pay it off.
What can I do for you?
I want to pay off Tannis' debt.
Got to you, did she? The woman can spot a soft-hearted mark from 50 paces. Like a sixth sense or something. Remarkable.
He nods to you conspiratorially, as if he didn't just imply you were a sucker easily parted from your money.
Here's the thing, though. It's more profitable for me to keep her under my thumb, so sweet as your offer is, you can keep your money. Unless there's something else you need, I think we're done here.
He turns away and begins fiddling with something beneath the bar. As he does, you spy red-handed pistols stuffed into the band of his breeches. Will you take something else in exchange for her freedom?
If I wanted something else, I'd have asked for it.
Let's discuss something else first. Okay. Maybe we can give it to her?
Welcome back, patron.
Here, pay off your debt.
Don't give it to me, give it to Harker. Knowing him, he'll tack on a few extra expenses just to spite me. I can't fathom why you're doing this, but I thank you all the same.
Okay. Do we have to give him 1,400?
What can I do for you? I made my position on that clear. You think I've changed my mind?
So we could, if we had better intimidate or diplomacy. Let's see.
What can I do for you? What can I do for you? What do you want? How heavy's your...
Might. Perception. Nope. So we're kind of close on diplomacy.
What can I do for you? I made my... Look at you!
1,400.
Big spender. Word of caution now. You don't want to look too desperate around here. Pirates can sniff that out easy as stink on fish. Tierna's free to go.
Alright.
Endless thanks for taking care of my debt. See you at the play.
Several brutish-looking thugs emerge from the nearby alleys.
Well, well. If it isn't Arca's new business partner. That's quite a lot of coin you two exchanged.
Yep, thought maybe I was going to do something like this. It was a one-time deal.
Right. We all know Arca's been itching to come out of retirement and claim a bigger slice of Dunnage for himself. Eyeing a seat on a council, I bet he is. Think I'll send him your head, as a reminder to stick to selling grog and flea-infested beds.
This is Eamon the Fox, by the way. Let's see. No wizards or anything here.
Hey, that wasn't half bad.
Happy to oblige.
Stand together!
Ooh. Oh, it was Modwer that's laughing the whole time. That's what it was. Now you have to talk with Modwer. Because we dealt 1,500 damage to Kith enemies.
You know what? I'm impressed. That was... whew, wow! I've never experienced anything like that before.
Modwer not only warms in your hands, but begins to glow faintly.
Oh, sounds like you two got something real special there. Almost makes a man wish for a sword of his own.
Did no one ever teach you not to eavesdrop? Keep your ears to yourself, creep. You've been good to me. Better than I thought you'd be. I may not always show it, but I appreciate it. I guess.
Modwer grows curiously light, a almost as if it weighs nothing at all.
My owner... Things weren't perfect between us. Sometimes she'd cry after using me, or scabbard me and ignore me for days. It was complicated. You won't tell her about us, will you? Not that I like you or anything. I just don't want her to get the wrong idea. She's very sensitive.
You can sense Motor trying to be stern, but seriousness is belied by the slight waver in his voice. Here I thought I was a ham-handed half-wit. What changed?
Listen, I'm willing to be the bigger person here and say that maybe I was wrong. Maybe you're not quite the incompetent fool I thought you were.
The gleaming steel of Motor's blade exudes the distinctive smell of sword polish.
But don't go telling everyone I said that. I have a reputation to maintain.
Are you ready to tell me where you think she's gone?
She dumped me, okay? She said she couldn't do this anymore and tossed me in a pile of garbage. Do you feel better now that I've humiliated myself for you? Is that what you wanted to hear?
It's terrible. I'm sorry.
I don't want your fucking pity.
Motor stills, suddenly so heavy you can barely hept it.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Its voice becomes small, subdued, as if it's lost the will to speak.
Just point me at the map and I'll mark the last place I heard she was going. Some city called Dunnage.
That's convenient. Why Dunnage? Alright, let's do this. Wait, why would she tell you where she's going but not bring you along? The tip of the blade briefly flashes bright red. This is diplomacy, benevolence, honesty, and diplomatic here. Clearly there's more to the list than you're letting on. Tell me what happened. Maybe I can help.
She dumped me, okay?
Oh.
She said she couldn't do this and do you feel better now that I've humiliated? I don't want to. Let's go.
Kill 25 Kith with Motor to unlock the next level. We have the Orochan calendar here.
Happily.
No, there was a caster there, but didn't really matter. Boots of the stone. These heavy plate boots are noticeably unpolished, resembling rock more than steel. The joints are well oiled, however, and they do not inhibit movement. They are designed for use by heavy infantry, as they provide solid footing amidst mud and fallen corpses. Yep.
I hear you.
I wonder, do we get a quest to find Motor's old master?
Thanks muchly for bringing Taerna back to us. Her storm and weather spells will really strike an atmosphere for the play. And now that we've got a real big brute for Aethys, we can put on a proper play. Stick around for the performance. I think you'll be plenty pleased.
She spreads her hands as if about to take a bow, but instead she snaps her fingers together and the stage darkens behind her, signaling the start of the show. Alright, let's watch play.
Ladies and gentle pirates, and rapscallions too, you are in for the truest of mental treats. Without further ado, I present the Green Menace. Let us begin with our valiant new blood crews, the Lusty Rudder and Fortune's Folly. Two ships adrift at sea for weeks and weeks on a venture most daring, in search of the uncharted islands.
Woe and torture. Months at sea with no treasure to show for it. You sure these uncharted islands exist, Captain? We ain't seen land for days.
Were they easy to find, they'd be called the Chartered Islands, wouldn't they? If you're thinking to mutiny.
Land ho! Land ho! Got a lumpy-looking island coming on the horizon.
That's no island. That be the Green Menace. We are doomed for sure.
Souls and gold and glory, you will give these to me. For I am a god among gods, and a true menace upon the seas. Souls and gold and glory. Blame the dawn stars, for they have summoned me. And now I must feed.
This will be the end for us, it will. Oh, Andra, take me now.
And that's the story of how Aethys sank a fleet of our best tars. Like the floating hangman, you see the Green Menace coming, you sail the other way. Thank you. Donations and gratuity are greatly appreciated. They love us, do you see? They gods damned loved us thanks to you.
Pallegina groans and puts her face in her hands. You've heard this type of groan from her before, but only when she was in intense physical pain. Did she hate to play that much?
I am ready. I would not have guessed I would find myself back with the Watcher of Cadnua, much less at the Order of Akanta.
Her expression fluctuates between amusement and annoyance.
I know that you did not intend for misfortune to befall me, and I appreciate what you said in Queen's Birth. Perhaps this time will go better for both of us. You only have to ask.
Whatever happened with you and Maneha? Did they have some kind of romance going that I didn't notice in the first game? Pallegina slowly turns her head in your direction, eyebrows raised, inner eyelids nictating out and back.
Wait.
You and Maneha, you were together, weren't you?
Maneha was a good companion and a skilled warrior, but her imagination got the better of her. It appears to have gotten the better of you as well.
She runs her fingers along a wayward feather, pointing in an odd direction from her wrist, pressing it flush against her skin. Huh. Wait, I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. But okay. Plus, we just saw Maneha, so there was no interaction there.
Certainly.
Okay, is that everything in Dunnage for now?
Looking for work. I've got coin and a few scores to settle. You carry yourself like a person well acquainted with violence. Care to put your skills to use for a good cause? And some coin?
She dances a coin across her knuckles, mirth, a bright glint in her eyes. Tell me about the cause you mentioned.
It's simple enough. The firebrand commanded by Captain Henqua once plagued the Deadfire. The skill and brutality of Henqua's crew was the stuff of legends.
Desrael flicks the coin she's holding and snatches it from the air with a grin. Up close, it's clearly a swollenet.
But pirate legends don't live long. Some months ago, an alliance of Neketaka pirate hunters managed to corner the firebrand and sink her off the coast of Tikawara. They confirmed Captain Henqua's death, but her senior crew members escaped unscathed. And now it seems like bringing the firebrand's crew to justice doesn't matter to anyone but me.
Even in the low light, you can see a vein throbbing at her temple. Her voice drops to a low growl.
So I want you to kill them. And I'll pay you out of my own pocket if you do.
Sounds like you got a grudge against the Firebrand's crew.
It's nothing personal. The crew earned their reputation through murder and thievery, and it would make me sick to see them regain an ounce of their power.
She tries for a nonchalant shrug, but it comes off looking like she's got a sore shoulder instead. As she speaks, Desiree removes a small swollenette from her pocket and polishes the surface with a corner of her shirt. Her features soften, like she's visiting an old memory. Then, she stuffs the coin back in her pocket, with a barely audible sigh. What's bothering you?
There's no need to make my concerns your own, my friend. It's family business, that's all. But I suppose you have a right to know.
Pauses and slips the swollenette from her pocket again. It gleams golden in the low light.
My idiot kid sister was on the Firebrand, seduced to a dishonest life by the promise of adventure. When the pirate hunters killed the crew and sank the ship, they also killed my sister. But those irredeemable lowlifes I sent you after got away without a scrape. I want them to pay. I don't much care how, so long as they take their turn on the wheel.
I'll hunt down the pirates. Who am I looking for?
The Firebrand had a mascot. A useless little bastard, who's taken to calling himself Lord Admiral Imp. He's not terribly dangerous on his own, but he's keen to make a nuisance of himself wherever he goes.
She rubs the bridge of her nose and sighs.
Last I heard, Lord Admiral Imp was making himself comfortable in Queen's Berth. You'll find him there with a few zarops and constructs, the little buggers convinced to follow him. Bless their simple hearts.
What's next on your list?
You'll be taking down Lady Ipiro, Captain Henqua's former first mate and a rumored lover. She's a cipher, and a dangerous one at that. Ipiro maintains an estate in Serpent's Crown in Neketaka. But I wouldn't recommend you rush in muzzles blasting and swords held high. She keeps a number of bodyguards on her payroll.
She winks, all smiles. Got it.
You'll be going after Katren, the Firebrand's resident wizard. Rumor has it, she was once an apprentice to Arkemir before turning pirate. Last I heard, Katren and her sundry little minions could be found lazing about the sacred stair here in Neketaka at night. No idea where she disappears off to during the day.
Should you just say here in Neketaka at night? Who's the last target?
I have a challenge for you, my friend. And his name is Torkar, leader of the Firebrand's boarding parties. He's an ogre, with a reputation for cleverness and cruelty both. I've even heard tell it was Torkar who was behind the Firebrand's most successful tactics, not Henqua. Torkar was last seen at Lifte's Refuge here in Dunnage, dead set on joining a crew, or assembling his own. I trust you won't let that happen.
She cocks one dark eyebrow in question. Farewell.
Happy hunting.
She nods and gives you a showy wink. At least she had a reason for these. Okay, so some of those are a little bit too difficult for me right now. I might be able to do it, but I've got plenty other things to do. Ingfrith. Have I talked to her? As you approach Ingfrith, she tenses but does not run. Her eyes go wide when she meets your own, shoulders high, with a hunted look etched into her long face. Modra strains in your grasp, pulling desperately toward the figure in the crowd. Oh, this is the original owner of Modra, my sword. And it says the figure in the crowd, and there is no crowd around here.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Her face is pale, her brow beaded with sweat. I'm a friend, or it could be. I'm here at Modra's request.
I had thought... I hoped to never...
She rubs a shaking hand across her eyes, which are red-rimmed and bloodshot.
Why did you bring it here?
She sinks back against the stone of the doorway and hangs her head.
You said you would come back for me, but you never did.
Modra's voice is unsteady, strained. It pulls toward Ingfrith, as if it were a needle and she a lodestone.
Alone for all those years, picked up and discarded by countless strange hands, hoping every time that they might be yours. What did I do wrong?
It was no fault of yours. It is I who am to blame.
Ingfrith kneels and lays a scarred, tentative hand on the flat of Motor's blade. You clearly care for Motor. What happened?
It was shame.
Ingfrith runs her fingers lightly down the length of the blade. Motor leans into her touch, warms beneath it.
I was born a cipher. As a young woman, I was apprenticed to a master animancer. He was keen to refine the art of housing souls, and he believed someone of my abilities might be an asset to his aim. My parents made a pretty copper on that deal.
She spits on the ground and grimaces.
When I left him, I took Moldware with me. I thought it was my responsibility to look after it. I decided that my penance for Moldware's creation would be to hunt those who used animancy for terrible ends.
At least you realized you were at fault. Most don't. Wait, I want to read some of this again. He was apprenticed to a master animancer, and he was keen to refine the art of housing souls, and he believed someone of my abilities might be an asset to him. Okay, so I'm guessing housing souls would be like a way of planting souls into inanimate objects, like this sword. Okay, so I am going to say that. At least you realized you were at fault. Most don't.
Do not make the mistake of thinking me noble. You don't know the things I've done.
She pulls her lower lip between her teeth and looks briefly away.
For a time, I took a position with Dunreed Row in Defiance Bay. I saw things that haunt my nights still.
As a reminder, Dunreed Row, obviously in Defiance Bay, was a house of almost all ciphers, a lot of Orland ciphers actually, led by a very old woman named Lady Webb. And when I say old, I don't just mean like how we think of old. She was centuries old, but she actually ended up dying in the first game, killed by the main antagonist, Theos Ixarcanon.
With every unscrupulous animancer brought to justice, my guilt grew, knowing I was their equal in evils done.
She shifts her weight from foot to foot, unable to meet your eyes.
I fled for Deadfire to the Principi, but I was too naive to know that shame has fleet feet. It devoured me. I thought if Moldware were gone, I might finally be free of my shame. How foolish I was. But what of you? What do you want?
She takes an unsteady breath and turns her attention back to Moldware.
I don't remember my life before, so I can't hate you for stealing it from me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive your betrayal, but...
The sword leans heavily on Ingfrith, pressing its hilt into her thigh.
I would still prefer to stay with Ingfrith if she would have me.
I'm gonna give Moldware back. She's kind of annoying. Yes, I think that's best.
But I care for you as well.
The sword leans away from Ingfrith and toward you. It presses into your leg.
I have to wonder, what'll happen to me after both of you die? Can my soul even return to the wheel? Though I've only known life as a weapon and I've no desire to die, neither do I want to live forever. I'm only a weapon. A tool. And even though you're still a ham-handed halfwit, I trust you. So you decide.
Can we do this right now? Shodi, will you release Moldware's soul from this sword? With a solemn nod, Shodi swings her lantern back and forth, chanting indiscernibly under the breath until a waft of purple essence lifts from the sword. It slams into her lantern, rattling the metal frame with such intensity Shodi swears and fumbles it to her chest. Give the empty sword to Ingfrith. Ingfrith takes the sword gingerly, as if unsure what she should do with it. She touches the flat of the blade, relief and regret playing across her face.
Moldware's soul is really gone.
After a long moment, she sighs.
You've put to rest a great burden for me. Thank you.
Sword in hand, she leaves the market and does not look back. Okay. So we no longer have Modwer, which means the archer is unarmed. Let's see what we can give him. He's got proficiency, mace, rapier. Rapier, that was good. Maybe I'm wrong. Can give him this exceptional mace. I think that'll do for now. Okay, so are we done in Dunnage? I think we might be. I mean, there is that ogre that's somewhere in Dunnage, but I think we'll come back for that. And if we can talk to the people we hired for the play.
I did it. I remembered me lines.
Yes, you did.
How was I? Bloody marvellous, I bet.
Okay. Alright, that's everything. Which is, I think, a pretty natural stopping point for this session. Because we kind of exhausted everything we wanted to do that in Dunnage. I think we finished Pallegina's companion quest. Yeah. We found Giacolo, the man who had been taken captive by multiple godlike, because he had invented something that would be able to recognize godlike in the womb, and the godlike were concerned that that would just lead people to get rid of their godlike babies. Out of fear of them. We know that they are feared. Some consider them blessed, some consider them cursed. But while we rescued Giacolo, he lost his research. And that was the main reason we came here, so that we could find him. But then we found a few other things to do. Pretty minor things, but still, I think some nice world building, at least for the Principi. There is one more place that the Principi is important, and that's Fort Deadlight. So I think maybe we'll do that next, although I'm also thinking about going to Archimir's mansion in Neketaka as well. So I don't know. I'll decide before then. But that's going to be it for this session. So thank you, as always, for joining me. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, those kinds of things, I would love to hear from you, hear what you have to say, as always. And I hope you will join me next time for more sentences and paragraphs. Bye, everybody.